Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a customer success manager at Recurly. I have a background in digital media and app production. I've personally submitted probably over 100 apps to the stores over the years, working with media companies like Condé Nast and The Economist and Scientific American, to name a few. Previously, when I've worked with media companies, I was also a customer success manager. We were responsible for all of their planning, their launch, their implementations, how to set up their apps, how to set up the buttons, what options they have available to them in terms of the store and what they can and can't do. We would do the submissions for them, guide them through the review process, make sure they'd thought about their post-launch marketing communication, in-app messaging strategies. So we were kind of with the customer for their life cycle. People spend more time on their phones than they do on their computer or their tablet. We all live with our handheld devices, and when you're on them, users spend more time in-app than they do on web. For the majority of industries, people don't go twitter.com, they view it on the Twitter app, and that kind of applies for a lot. People shop more in-app than they do on web. You get higher engagement rates if you've got an app versus having just a responsive website. There's a lot of benefits to having an app versus just a web. Apps are specifically designed for the mobile phone, so they function better. It's easier for the user to kind of navigate. Native functionality, one click to open, it's stored on the homepage, it's got offline capabilities, so there's quite a few things you can do within an app that you can't necessarily just do on the browser on the phone. So obviously, whatever you sell, whatever you productize, you will also have a website, but I think the big benefit to having an app is just that it is the best user experience. So when you're delivering something that your users are going to function with and are going to use, that is optimized in app versus being on web, especially on mobile. There are definitely some drawbacks. It's not all positive. If you have an app, be that on the Google Marketplace, be that on the App Store Marketplace, you are subject to Apple and Google's regulations and policies. So you have to kind of agree to their terms and conditions. And if you sell content in the app, they want to take a fee for that, for the luxury of doing that. So in year one, the revenue they take is 30%, and then they take 15% after year one upon renewal. So there is a cost to having an app that then sells content. Obviously, if you're free, license fee aside, I guess there's less downside. For subscription companies, one of the big downsides will be that Apple and Google will take a percentage of the revenue that you make. So for all of the in-app purchases that you sell through your app, i.e. through the store, within year one, those stores will take a 30% fee, and then after year one, upon renewal, they'll take a 15% fee. So it's quite a chunk of the revenue that you might generate. There's lots of easy ways you can put up a website almost in a day. It's a lot harder to build a native app, be that you either need in-house native developers or you need to go and find a product company and build out a different language that you're writing in. Again, you have to use the store's tools to build those apps. So there's a different fee involved and different time to launch that involves when you're having an app in the store. It's changed a bit now, but for a long time, it was kind of a walled garden. Apple and Google knew who your users were, but they didn't really share any of that data with you. So it was pretty kind of aggregated, anonymous content. You didn't have a handle on who your users were, and that's why the website, your own website, had such a big benefit, because you had all your data, you had all that user information. For a long time, they didn't want to share any of that user information with you. That's changed a bit now. They do allow for cross-entitlement. So when users subscribe on the website, they've always been able to log into the app to also get access. But for a long time, if you subscribed in app, you had no capacity to log in on that website as well. But they do now allow the sharing of content. So users can also now create a web account, and therefore they can log in on your website as well. The benefit to that is that user's data now also lives in your own data house, and you have a sense of their name, potentially their email, where they're coming from. You have access to that data within your own systems, not just as an export from the stores. There have been some recent changes to the App Store Marketplace, both Apple and Google. I think one of the big ones that was the small business program. So customers that generate under $1 million USD in-app purchases, you can be in the small developer program, which means they'll only take 15% of your revenue instead of 30%. So the smaller developers, that's a big deal. So that was a big win. I think another change has been, as I mentioned, that the cross entitlement. So users that subscribe in app can create a web account and they can log into your website, and you now have full access to that user data and their emails and their analytics, etc. And then, I think the third one, which is the most recent and potentially one of the biggest, is for reader apps. So a specific app type, which is any app that's main functionality is to deliver digital content. So that's magazines, books, video, audio, news. If that's the main purpose, it's considered a reader app, and therefore you are now allowed to link out to your own subscription. So you can have an external call to action that actually links out to your own .com for a user to subscribe on your website and then come back in and log into the app. And for a long time, that was not the case. You were unable to link out to your own subscriptions. Big win about linking out to your own subscription is that you get full access to all of that user data, and most importantly, you keep all of the revenue. That subscription is happening on your website. Apple and Google don't have anything to do with that, so you get to keep 100% of that revenue. Versus offering in-app subscriptions, they take that fee. At the moment, that change in regulation is only applicable to the reader apps. Obviously, other sectors at the moment are still unable to link out to their own subscription sign up. And the big one is gaming. Epic and Apple are having a bit of a battle at the moment. Epic have the Fortnite app, and they want to be able to do the same thing. They want to link out to subscriptions, but Apple at the moment have not opened up that policy to the gaming apps, just to readers. I think it's because, gaming apps, not only do they exist in the App Store marketplace, but they'll be on Xbox, they'll be on PlayStation, they'll be on Nintendo, and all of those platforms also take a fee for in-app or on their platform, the purchases that happen. So I think Apple and Google are quite keen to keep hold of that revenue. With the recent change to reader apps being allowed to link out, you essentially have two options now. You can either continue to offer in-app subscriptions, so your user subscribes through either Apple or Google. They will continue to take that percentage of the revenue, and for the most part they get to keep the data, although you can access it. But for your end user, that's definitely the best UI experience. It's one click, it's instant access. So if you're putting your end user first, that's a great experience. You can, if you want, now link out to your own subscription on your own website, which sounds great, except that it's an external website that it links to, and the stores put in a big pop-up that says you are leaving the app. The user then has to fill out all their information. Once they've filled it out, they then have to go back into the app to then enter it all again to log in. The benefit to the developer or the company is they get to keep all the revenue. But for the end user, it's quite a chunky, not particularly nice user journey. And unfortunately, you can't do both. So I guess everyone would love to be able to offer in-app purchases and the option to link out. But at the moment, the stores are making you choose. So it's either us or it's you. And if it's you, we're going to make it difficult. And if it's us, we get to keep the revenue, or some of it, not all of it. If you're a business that sells subscriptions and you're thinking about offering a web app versus a native app, there are quite a few things to consider.